No, sir, I don't got no bodies. Don't put me in that conversation in any type of situation. Don't troll with it. Don't rap about it. Don't even speak on it. As Boosie just got a very light sentence in the feds, and I say beating the feds because they wanted prison time from him, but he was able to walk it down.
Exploding after Pushy dropped this insane caption on Instagram, and Boosie's alleged response has everyone shook. Pushy wrote, "Only rapper that has more bodies than me is Lil Boosie," sparking a frenzy involving federal cases, paid hits, a 15-year-old hitman losing sleep, and shocking confessions that landed multiple people in prison for life. This isn't just rap beef, it's federal-level drama. Lil Boosie, the Baton Rouge legend, built his empire on keeping it real and repping the streets harder than most. Behind the fame, however, lurks one of the darkest murder-for-hire cases in hip-hop history. 15 victims, a teenage assassin known as Marlo Mike, and confessions that shook all of Louisiana. Now, Pooh Shiesty is trolling, claiming he's topped Boosie and the internet can't handle it. To grasp why this beef is deadly serious, we need to rewind to the mid-2000s. While Boosie was rising in the rap game, he was allegedly running operations that went far beyond music. Federal investigators and court testimonies reveal that Boosie wasn't just rapping about the street, she was allegedly orchestrating them. Enter Marlo Mike, real name Michael Louding, old caught up in serious street business for a rap star. Court documents and Marlo Mike's own confession reveal that Boosie allegedly paid him to handle people he had problems with. This wasn't a one-off, it was a chilling operation that involved 15 victims. The bond between Boosie and Marlo Mike was built on loyalty, money, and influence. Marlo saw Boosie as a mentor, and Boosie allegedly exploited that trust to pull a teenager into dangerous activities. The streets knew something was happening, but silence was survival. You stayed quiet or faced the consequences. Marlo Mike wasn't a hardened criminal, was just a kid. After 15 violent incidents, the weight of what he had done became unbearable. Court testimony shows he couldn't sleep, memories haunted him, and guilt finally drove him to the authorities. He confessed everything: names, dates, locations, and most damningly, Boosie's role in orchestrating the crimes. According to court files, these 15 incidents were no accident. Each was allegedly ordered by Boosie for a reason: street conflicts, perceived disrespect, or business disputes. This wasn't just rap drama, it was a criminal operation hiding in plain sight. The victims included Terry Boyd, who was tragically killed in October 2009, an incident that became a major focus of Boosie's trial. Prosecutors alleged that Boosie paid Marlo Mike $2,800 to handle Boyd over a dispute. Marcus Thomas was reportedly targeted because the streets claimed he had been talking too much, and Boosie wanted him dealt with. Chris Jackson was another victim, with Marlo Mike testifying that Boosie gave him detailed instructions on what to do. The list continues. Daryl Milton, Michael Smith, Kendrick Bishop, all allegedly caught up in Boosie's operation. Each of these individuals had families, loved ones, and lives that were cut short over street conflicts and rap-related disputes. According to Marlo Mike, Boosie didn't just give general instructions. He was specific about how each act should be carried out, providing details on methods, timing, and precautions. This wasn't random, it was organized and calculated. After each incident, Boosie reportedly paid Marlo in cash, sometimes a few $1,000s, sometimes more depending on the situation. For a 15-year-old from the streets, the money seemed like everything, but as the incidents accumulated, it could not bring him peace. Court testimony shows that Marlo began experiencing nightmares, waking in cold sweats and haunted by memories. He couldn't eat or function normally, and the psychological toll of being involved in such crimes at a young age was overwhelming. By the time he went to the authorities, he was ready to confess everything. Marlo Mike gave detailed confessions about each incident, provided supporting evidence, and agreed to testify against Boosie in court. While the streets labeled him a snitch, Marlo said he could no longer live with what had happened. The trial of Lil Boosie quickly became one of the most closely watched cases in hip-hop history. In May 2012, Boosie went on trial for the first-degree murder of Terry Boyd, with Marlo Mike serving as the prosecution's key witness. On the stand, Marlo delivered chilling testimony, recounting how Boosie allegedly ordered the killing of Boyd. He described in detail what happened, the methods used, and how much Boosie allegedly paid him. The courtroom fell silent as this young man, now in his early 20s, spoke about his teenage years caught in the middle of these events. Marlo testified that Boosie had told him Terry Boyd needed to be taken care of due to ongoing disputes. He followed Boyd, waited for the right moment, and carried out the attack. Afterward, Marlo said Boosie paid him $2,800 and told him, "Good job." The defense argued that Marlo Mike could be lying to reduce his own sentence, portraying him as an unreliable witness. Boosie maintained his innocence, insisting he had no involvement in any of the incidents. However, the prosecution presented more than just Marlo's testimony. Phone records showed communication between Boosie and Marlo, financial records documented the payments, and witnesses testified about overheard conversations. The jury deliberated for hours as the hip-hop community held its breath. Everyone watched closely, waiting to see if one of rap's biggest stars would finally be held accountable. The streets erupted in celebration as Boosie walked out of the courtroom a free man on the murder charge. But the story didn't end there. While Boosie beat the case, Marlo Mike wasn't so fortunate. Convicted of multiple serious crimes, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. At just 22 years old, Marlo would spend the rest of his life behind bars for actions he committed as a teenager. The families of the other victims never received full closure. Although Marlo confessed to 15 incidents, he was only convicted and sentenced for some of them. Many cases remained unresolved, leaving families without justice. The investigation uncovered a dark underworld in Baton Rouge's rap scene, prompting federal authorities to examine connections between street crime and the music industry. Officials discovered patterns of rappers allegedly using young associates to carry out dangerous tasks, paying them in cash and influence. In court, multiple witnesses described the environment around Boosie's crew: loyalty enforced through fear, and severe consequences for anyone who crossed the group. The prosecution painted a portrait of a criminal network operating under the guise of a rap label. Reactions on the streets were divided. Some viewed Boosie as a victim of a system targeting successful black men, while others believed he exploited teenagers and involved them in life-threatening activities. Debates raged in barbershops, online, and across hip-hop forums. Throughout the trial, Boosie's family, his mother, children, and supporters stood by him, insisting he was innocent and targeted because of his success and influence in the music world. Boosie's defense argued that the prosecution was unfairly using his rap lyrics against him, effectively criminalizing his art. By the time he was released from prison in 2014, he had already been serving time on unrelated drug charges during the murder trial. The streets had changed in his absence, and the case had shone a harsh light on Baton Rouge's crime problems, prompting law enforcement to increase crackdowns. Meanwhile, Marlo Mike remains incarcerated at Angola State Penitentiary, one of the most notorious prisons in America. In interviews from behind bars, he has expressed remorse for his actions, but the consequences are permanent. 15 families lost loved ones, and a young man threw his life away before he was even old enough to vote. Fast forward to 2024, Pooh Shiesty ignited the streets with an Instagram post, sharing a photo with the caption, "Only rapper that has more bodies than me is Lil Boosie." Instantly, speculation ran wild. Was this a diss, trolling, or a bold claim? Pooh Shiesty has a history of legal trouble, with nearly every case involving a shooting adding fuel to the frenzy.
I want to speak on something right quick. I ain't siding with Glorilla, I ain't siding with Brorilla. But I do want to say,
First, there was the King of Diamonds incident in Miami on May 30th, 2020. Pooh Shiesty was allegedly involved in a confrontation with a security guard at the strip club. Witnesses and surveillance footage reportedly show an argument escalating, with Pooh allegedly brandishing a weapon. The security guard was injured during the altercation, making it clear that this was a serious and dangerous incident in a crowded club. The case highlighted how quickly Pooh Shiesty's reactions in heated situations can escalate. Then came the Bay Harbor Islands robbery, which drew federal attention. On October 9, 2020, Pooh Shiesty and his crew allegedly met two men under the guise of purchasing marijuana and high-end sneakers. Instead of completing the transaction, prosecutors say they forcibly took the items, injuring one of the victims in the process. Surveillance footage reportedly confirmed Pooh Shiesty's involvement. The federal government charged him with conspiracy related to firearms in connection with drug and violent crimes, as well as using a firearm during a crime-serious federal offenses carrying mandatory minimum sentences. In January 2022, Pooh Shiesty pleaded guilty to a single firearms-related charge as part of a plea deal. Pooh Shiesty was sentenced to 63 months in federal prison over 5 years, and he won't be eligible for release until at least 2026. Even after his release, he will remain on supervised release, meaning any violation could send him back to prison immediately. What's particularly concerning is his pattern of behavior. The King of Diamonds incident and the Bay Harbor Islands robbery both demonstrate how quickly he reacts and escalates conflicts. So when he posts on Instagram claiming he has bodies, it's not difficult for people to believe he might be serious. His music raises further red flags. In his song FDO, First Day Out, Pooh Shiesty raps about sending others to handle problems and paying people to take care of issues without needing to be present himself. That mirrors situations similar to what Lil Boosie allegedly orchestrated with Marlo Mike. Federal authorities closely scrutinize lyrics that align with real-world criminal activity. Already serving federal time for gun charges, Pooh Shiesty is essentially giving prosecutors more material to use in future cases when he openly admits to handling problems in his music and posts about bodies online. Whether he is joking, trolling, or serious, the post grabbed attention, including, allegedly, Boosie's. Sources suggest Boosie caught wind of the Instagram post and was reportedly displeased, with word on the streets indicating he may have responded in his own way. Young rappers don't always grasp the weight of their words. In the race for clout and credibility, some risk their freedom for Instagram likes and viral moments. While the exact details of Boosie's alleged reaction can't be confirmed, people close to him suggest he isn't taking the situation lightly, but he's also not foolish enough to incriminate himself with a public response. Having spent years fighting serious charges and narrowly avoiding a life sentence, Boosie understands better than most what happens when ego overrides caution. Engaging in social media beef over body counts would only invite unnecessary legal scrutiny, something he has no interest in revisiting. This situation reflects a deeper issue within hip-hop culture, where young artists compete over who appears more dangerous or more street, often without considering the real-life consequences. Freedom is lost, futures are destroyed, and reputations are permanently stained over lyrics and online posts. Pushy is only 22 and already serving serious federal time. Marlo Mike is spending the rest of his life in prison for decisions he made as a teenager. Boosie may have beaten his most serious charge, but he endured years in courtrooms, behind bars, and under public suspicion. These are not fictional characters in a song, they are real individuals whose lives have been permanently altered by their choices. When an artist publicly claims to have bodies while already facing federal charges, it raises serious concerns about awareness and accountability.